Hi, welcome everybody to another episode of Cronin's Corner. This will be airing in October 2022, and I am so glad and pleased to be joined today by one of the up-and-coming entrepreneurs and captains of industry, I'd say, in North Central Massachusetts, Dr. Birt. Who is the CEO of Solvus Global. Dr. Birt, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Can I call you Aaron? Or
Absolutely.
Dr. Aaron?
I would be concerned if you called me anything else.
Okay, very good. So can you tell us just a little bit about what Solvus Global is and what your footprint looks like here in North Central?
Absolutely. So Solvus Global at its core is all about growing people in technology. So the way that we do that is through what we think is a fairly unique business model, but basically we look for problems that are out there in industry. Anything in the materials and manufacturing world that is stopping the market from growing. And we pull together inside of our organization the right team, the right technology, and the right business model to solve that market level problem. We develop those solutions, we develop the technologies, we develop the team, and ultimately after we've proven that our technologies are viable as a solution for the market, we go and we deploy those as an entire standalone business. So we focus on things like 3D printing, where you're building up material layer by layer to make a part. We focus on advanced materials, things that have really high protection against wear or corrosion. You see bridges, and you see we've got all these infrastructure challenges with damaged roadways, damaged bridges, and those are the types of things that we go after to solve. So we really focus on taking really good people and really good technology and solving those advanced manufacturing challenges.
Gotcha.
Inside of North Central Mass, we have 32,000 square feet over in Leominster at 272 Nashua Street. It's been a fantastic addition to our team. We actually, in the middle of the pandemic, were looking for a space that we could expand into. And it had to be high bay, had to have great highway access, all of those great manufacturing things. And we looked all across central Massachusetts. We're originally out of Worcester. Our R&D center is still there, but we said we need some place that can support manufacturing, large-scale production operations. And after probably, I think it was close to a year of searching, we managed to connect with 272 Nashua Street, and it's been fantastic. The support of the people, the support of the local ecosystem, folks like yourselves, everybody's gotten excited about what we're doing and has really just gotten behind us in this space. And so it's really exciting to be able to say, we've got 30,000 square feet of manufacturing space for advanced manufacturing in North Central Massachusetts. It's really exciting because we've got big equipment making big things. But it's just really cool to see how the ecosystem and the support network has come together to make a small business like ours feel welcome in this community.
I would say one of probably the central question that our office is always trying to solve or get at or move the needle forward on is how do we solicit, bring in, sustain 21st century innovation jobs and the innovation economy that is that we are feeling in Massachusetts, but that isn't necessarily spread out to central Massachusetts and western Massachusetts. And one of my favorite books is The New Geography of Jobs, but the thesis is very simple, right? It's if you can bring in a job where a company is creating something and innovating, and you can measure it by patents. I know you guys don't have patents, but that's because that's a deliberate decision.
It is a deliberate strategy.
And part of your business model, right? But if you can bring in people who are innovating, you're really bringing in outside capital, right? And so for every one job that we create, like Solvus Global, we're really creating 5 jobs in all the other sectors of our economy, whether it's arts and tourism, restaurant, healthcare, education, you name it. But to me, and how I view Solvus is you guys are almost like an anchor tenant and have the potential to really be lifeblood of our local and regional economy for a long time. But on that innovation kind of angle, can you talk about how you got your start in this business, how you came to Central Massachusetts for the first time, and how you guys are continuing to innovate?
Yeah. So I would say I'm one of those unique individuals who, actually, I guess maybe I'm not so unique. I'm a transplant to the area, right? So the education ecosystem in central Massachusetts is what first captured me. So I came up for a degree at WPI, as many others have. And then I started seeing what was happening in the whole kind of central Massachusetts ecosystem. In particular, early on, I got tied in with the Worcester Venture Forum, which was a great community for entrepreneurs to get together. And then as I kind of wrapped up my degree, I started looking at what is it that I wanted to do. And my thesis advisor at the time was a close friend, partner, another friend of mine, Dr. Sean Kelly. We all got together and we said, we really like what we're doing together. What do we want to do after this? And so we started kind of thinking about what were the challenges that we were interested in going after? What were the things that we wanted to solve? And we tried consulting for about 3 days. Had some great clients, made some great recommendations. They ignored all of our recommendations, and that was when we realized consulting wasn't for us. We're like, we can do the problems.
And you want to be your own boss.
You want to be your own boss. You want to be your own boss, and you want to be able to control your destiny. I think that's one of the most important things. And for us, it was about how can we create this kind of mode of control for ourselves, but also for the people that we want to employ and help grow. One of the biggest problems that we saw as we were coming out of our degrees was a lot of friends and colleagues who were getting jobs and being told, you can't get your next promotion until you've been here for 5 years. I said, hang on. Why is it about how long you've been at a job? Why isn't it about how good you are at your job?
The quality of your ideas, not your length of service.
Exactly, exactly. So we said, all right, number one, can we create an ecosystem inside of our organization where we can really drive at that idea of merit-based growth and merit-based development? It's not about how much experience you have, it's about what your capabilities are, what can you deliver, what's the value that you can create. And so that's how we focus a lot of our kind of internal people innovation is around this idea that we want to help people grow as quickly as they're interested in growing. Our role is if you want to be CEO, fine. We've got a pathway for you to be CEO inside of our organization. If you want to stay as a machine operator, we've got positions for you too. It all depends on what you want and how you want to grow, and we're going to help you do that. So that was number one in why we started, was we wanted to create a platform where people could grow. Number two was we said, we've seen so much investment in research, development, innovation, but we've seen it fall flat in a lot of situations. We've seen a lot of investment into the universities from both federal and state government, and a lot of that money doesn't always get turned into
or directed to the right place or the best idea.
Right. It doesn't necessarily always go to that innovation that you're talking about that turns into job creation. It sometimes just sits on the shelf. And so we said, all right, how can we take ownership and responsibility for seeing great ideas deployed in practice in a manufacturing operation? How can we make sure that we're not just throwing technology at a problem, but we're pulling all of the pieces together necessary to actually solve that problem? And so that's where those kind of dual ideas of ownership of solving a problem and ownership of taking responsibility for helping people grow, those two things kind of came together inside of Solvus. And ever since we started in Worcester, we've seen this continuous support for the ideas that we're proposing. And whether it's Worcester or it's Leominster or it's really anywhere in the central Massachusetts ecosystem, everybody's come together and been incredibly supportive with what we're trying to accomplish. And I think that more than anything is the key to why we've made this our home, why we would like to be able to be that kind of anchor tenant of the ecosystem here.
Absolutely.
Because of the support that we've received, because there's amazing, talented people all across the board. There's great resources in the region. It's really just about making sure that you can pull all of those pieces together. And when you can, you get great partnerships like we have with you guys. We get great partnerships with the mayor's office, with even our landlords. They come in as partners of ours across the board. So I think that's the most important thing. You can kind of put a bunch of check boxes up there as far as what a place needs to be successful in manufacturing, right? You need good space, you need good highway infrastructure, you need good power and utilities.
Adequate workforce.
You need a good workforce. You need a supporting or a supportive, health and human services, safety office. A lot of places have those things. But when you bring them all together, you make them accessible to the businesses, and you create such a feeling of community that makes folks like us not only want to build here, but want to stay here. And I think that's been the truly amazing thing from our perspective.
So we have what I would describe our legacy economy in north central Massachusetts has really been manufacturing. And in the 20th century, in the 19th century, it was perhaps furniture and Gardner, plastics in Leominster, which is sustained, and paper in Fitchburg. But those things have, we've been forced to reimagine what is going to be the lifeblood of our local and regional economy as we've moved into the 21st century. So how would you describe what advanced manufacturing is, and how is it different from kind of those legacy economy sectors that people here are familiar with?
It's a really interesting question because, in truth, advanced manufacturing isn't all that different than the manufacturing we've been doing, right? If you think about kind of the sequence of innovation across any industry, right? We started with spinning wheels and making yarn and knitting ourselves, and then we turned into a spinning wheel, and then we had the loom, and then we had automated machines, and that's all that we're doing is we're continuing to innovate in how we
make
manufacture
things more efficient,
and
right?
how we increase the automation. So really, that's the only difference to me in our traditional manufacturing versus our advanced manufacturing today is we've just increased the level of automation. Now, in some cases, we've increased it in a fairly exponential way, right? So in a lot of cases, and this is the challenge, the learning curve has gotten to be a lot higher. Part of that is because the technology is not as advanced as it needs to be. Part of it is because we haven't given people the right tools to understand the way that they need to. So if we think about advanced manufacturing, I would say today advanced manufacturing is about incorporating a really fundamental understanding of processes, materials, and software together to create the most efficient and automated platform that you can for making whatever it may be. In our case, we do a lot of general parts production, right? So we use things like 3D printing to make a part out of metal from nothing. We take wire or powder, and out of it we might make something that looks like a table or even bigger. Valves for Navy ships or whatever major components might be out there. So it's all about kind of that intersection of software, process knowledge, materials knowledge. Sometimes you'll hear the words Industry 4.0 thrown around. It's all part of that same package, which is this idea that can we take all of the advances that we've made in the internet and in data communication for the software industry, innovations that Facebook and Google have driven, and can we adapt those into the manufacturing world so that we can be as efficient and as effective as possible? The idea is not to eliminate the person from the job. It's to train them up to be able to operate in this new ecosystem.
And how has that challenge changed, right? I think, we are so excited about Solvus, and you get everybody excited because you put your finger on it. The better you do, the more jobs you create here. How have those requirements for your workforce changed as the economy has changed in terms of leaps and bounds in automation and robotics? And how do we build the workforce that you need here in North Central?
So it's really interesting because it's become this interesting balance of needing to understand how software and computers work just from a use perspective, but also understanding how machines operate. So right now we've got really young folks who are very adept at all kinds of digital tools, right? They grew up with cell phones, computers. I'm mostly in that category, right? So I'm used to this digital economy. And so those folks are really, really good at understanding how to maybe program a robot or how to operate a complex automation tool. But where they struggle is they don't necessarily know how to make things. They don't know the kind of old school mentality of if I make this cut, this is going to happen. If I add material here, I'm going to reinforce it in this way. Or you know what, if I flip this thing on its side, I'm going to make this a lot more effective. Then you've got the older generation of traditional machinists, machine operators, manufacturers, folks who have been doing this for decades, and they know all of that. They know exactly where you should put this thing, what kind of tool you should use, how you should
decades of experience.
They know it.
Right.
They've got it covered. Bringing those two resources together is critical. So for both sides, you need the right education or re-education and retraining in order to enable those individuals to participate in this kind of new advanced manufacturing economy. So for the folks who are just coming out of school, they really need that hands-on manufacturing experience. We've done a great job of teaching them the tools of the trade, but we haven't necessarily taught them all the tricks of the trade. For the folks who have been in the workforce for a few decades, they know all the tricks, but they need to work on the tools. And so for both sides, there's slightly different educational resources that are needed.
And it's building that bridge between
But it's
the
building
two.
that bridge, exactly.
So I think that's where there's one space that I get excited about for public-private partnerships. And again, creating these pathways between Fitchburg High School or Gardner High School, where we have advanced manufacturing programs that we want to align with businesses like yours. They're nascent right now, but we've got the same thing is happening at Mount Wachusett Community College, Fitchburg State University. Where would you like to see public-private partnerships go to build that workforce, and again, to build that bridge between where we need to go to make sure our workforce is able to meet the requirements of industry here?
Yeah. So at Solvus, we've been fortunate enough to have a very strong partnership across the state of Massachusetts, including with the Center for Advanced Manufacturing.
Right.
So at the ribbon cutting that you participated in last year for the facility, they announced a big award from their M2I2 program. And as part of that, we proposed what I think is a key part of the solution, which is sort of like going back to the old school apprenticeship programs. So from our experience, the best way to learn these new tools is on the ground with somebody who knows how to use them, and it's doing real things that
and it's
you
probably
care about.
on the floor at Solvus,
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
It's in our opinion, it should always be on the floor at Solvus, but it could be elsewhere too. But it's really about being there, seeing the machines, operating the machines, understanding the challenges, the hiccups, and learning from somebody who knows how it's done. You can teach 20 people, but until they are actually standing there, pressing the button, turning the knob, even then it's not tangible until they've done it for themselves. So from our perspective, what we'd love to see is kind of a renewal and resurgence around really the entire advanced manufacturing ecosystem getting together and saying, you know what, we'll open up our doors a little bit more here to be flexible with this idea of let's get rid of internships in the traditional sense,
right,
and let's make them more like apprenticeships where they've got real tangible outcomes, not just as a product for the company, but as a product for the individual. So they've got maybe a checklist of things that they're going to learn going into that apprenticeship, and out of that, those are now tangible skills that they have that they should be able to deploy anywhere. But obviously, if I've taught that individual those skills, man, I'd love to be able to keep them internally. But it should be a set of skills that are kind of universally applied across this advanced manufacturing platform, all around advanced robotics, automation, maintaining and operating those tools and resources. And I'd love to see if we could get in the direction of standardizing that type of structure, because again, that type of hands-on learning is so important for this next generation of manufacturing.
And there are multiple points of entry into the advanced manufacturing economy, right? By credentialing level, right? So I mean, there's a place for the kid coming out of high school, a place for the kid coming out of with an associate's degree, right up to a PhD from WPI,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I love to say we've kind of been a model for that, right?
Yeah.
I say we've got everything from no degrees to way too many degrees at Solvus. And
way too much debt. Yeah, right.
Exactly.
No debt, a lot of debt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's what it takes to work in this type of environment. Is you need people in software. You need people who are mechanical engineers, materials engineers, automation experts. You need people who have always just run machines or have never run a machine but are excited to learn. You need people who have decades of experience in how everything can go wrong in installing a piece of equipment or maintaining a piece of equipment. It takes all of those different elements to operate. So when you talk about entry points, I mean, absolutely. And even within a given, let's call it, degree level, there's even multiple entry points there because
Gotcha.
you've got to have the folks who know how to maintain the machines. You've got to have the folks who know how to develop new things on the machines, and you've got to have the folks who know how to just operate the machines. It takes all of these different kind of avenues to make this successful.
Can you give us a sense of how much and how fast Solvus has grown?
Yeah.
You know, I get the sense that you guys grow basically at the rate of your good ideas, and you have a lot of them because you have a lot of smart people that work. But can you give us a sense of that?
We might grow at the rate of the ideas that I put on the back burner.
Yeah.
So there's about, my list is about 250 ideas of things that we should be going after, and we're going after 5 right now. So we say no to a lot of things, or my team tells me I have to say no to things, one or the other.
Let it simmer. Let it simmer.
Exactly. So we started in 2017 with myself, Dr. Sean Kelly, and Professor Durana Pellion.
And one good idea, right?
And half an idea.
Let's put a band together. Yeah.
Exactly. And the first year we grew to about 10 people, and we thought, wow, this is really exciting growth. And then the next year we grew to about 30 people, and we said, oh boy, what do we do now? So this is end of 2019, rolling into 2020. We were excited. Let's keep accelerating. So in 2020 we came in close to 40 people, and then early pandemic we continued to grow. Really, over half of our workforce at that point had been hired through
remote
teams.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was all virtual interviews. It took until end of 2020, early 2021 before some of the team members had even met, and everybody was in the state. So it was a really unique kind of shift to everything that we were doing. And then 2021, we put the brakes on things. We said, all right, pandemic didn't end. There's a lot happening. We want to make sure that we've got an understanding of where this thing's going to go. Mm-hmm. So 2021, we
hold what you got, everybody.
We froze a lot of our great ideas.
Yeah.
And we said, let's make sure that we're focused on the core of what we have. 2022 now, we've already blown past 50 people. I've got 15 open requisitions right now for positions across the board, and we're looking to continue accelerating that growth out of 2022. So it's been, especially through this year, it's been an absolute whirlwind of growth for us. It's been tremendous, and now making use of the facility that we have in Leominster. We've got 10 different machines rolling in there. We've got 5 of them up and operational right now, making parts, testing parts. It's an awesome time to be part of the Solvus team because we're really ramping up to this world of actually not just taking those ideas and talking about them, but converting them into things that are actually producing tangible value. We're actually making parts to meet the needs of industries like defense, aerospace, marine, space, energy. All of these are being impacted by the work that we're doing in this ecosystem.
So I think one of my goals and hopes is that we are both sitting in these same chairs 10 years from now, and 10 years you're looking back and talking about the 10x that you've grown from where you were today. But can you talk about, and you've touched on some of the competitive advantages that we have here. What are the things that worry you, or what are the things that we need to do better even here as an ecosystem to sustain the growth in your industry and your sector that we all want to see and that we all benefit from?
Absolutely. So this is actually one that I've been thinking a lot about. So there's some collaborations going on across central Massachusetts, especially on the entrepreneurial side of things, as far as what we can do to facilitate entrepreneurs in the ecosystem. And I think one of the things that is most important is that we understand it's not just about any one town or any one region that's going to take advantage of this advanced manufacturing economy. A job opening in Leominster, a job opening in Worcester, a job opening in Fitchburg, there's value in all of those because we eat at restaurants in all of these different places. We
you bring your commercial insurance to the healthcare system. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think one of the most important things is that we all kind of align ourselves with this common vision that if we can create an ecosystem and environment that's accessible by all, that is traversable. So I understand how to go from point A to B to C by all people. Then we can create a welcoming environment that is also an efficient and effective environment for manufacturing. I think right now that's one of the biggest challenges that the ecosystem has, is that there's a lot of different players, and we're all trying to do a lot of different things to help the community. But we need to kind of rally together and say, rising tide raises all boats. Let's figure out how to create a platform where entrepreneurs or new business owners or new advanced manufacturing companies or older manufacturing companies that are trying to get back into the ecosystem, they can get together and use the resources that we have here and take advantage of those resources.
Gotcha. Okay, so you brought a video with you today too.
Yes.
So we described advanced manufacturing, and I guess we got to see it too. Do you want to introduce the video?
Yeah, absolutely. So
I feel like a talk show host. I'm like, tell us about this movie you made.
So honestly, it's really just a smattering of some of the cool things that we're doing at Solvus, and it really just highlights how we've been able to take advantage of the ecosystem that we have here to do a lot of different things. So what you're seeing up here is actually a 3D printed battery. So this is a solid state lithium ion battery, or at least the first makings of it. And now what you're seeing is actually a new machine that we have that 3D prints through powder, but it does it with air. So it's really, really inexpensive.
And this is happening in Leominster, Massachusetts.
This is happening in Leominster, Massachusetts, and that's a live video. This one's sped up, but the previous one was live. This is powdered metal being deposited onto a metal surface without any heat. It's just through this high velocity deposition that you're able to see the material building up. You can do some amazing things with this. Material combinations that were never possible before are possible with this type of technology. This now is one of the cool new softwares that we're developing that's working to identify different defects in parts as you're making them. So this is one of the biggest challenges in 3D printing.
Quality control?
How do you control the quality?
Right.
It's not like a casting or forging process that you used to have where you bang it out and off you go. Well, now you've got to pay attention to exactly how it's being produced. And behind all of that is a ton of software and automation that goes into making those tools possible. The last segment that we saw there was from our technology Valis, which is actually one of our first spin-outs. So you can check out valisinsights.com. And they are now deploying commercially the software that we've developed to help scrap recyclers in Massachusetts and across the world to make more money with the scrap that they already have.
Wow, that's unbelievable. All right, and one thing that struck me about Solvus, when was the ribbon cutting? Was it in the fall?
October of last year.
It was October.
Yeah.
So I was able to go there
Yep.
And participate in it. It was a great event. But we go and there's a band. There's about 3 open bars. There's 4 vendors. It's a great party. And what struck me is, like, not only are these engineers smarter than me, not only are they more successful than me, but these guys can throw a party too. So
hey, you've been elected. I've never been elected.
Yeah, well,
that takes some skill, sir.
No, that's good. So that's great. I think that's unbelievable just for everybody to see at home. We've got about a minute and a half left. Where would you like Solvus Global to be 10 years from now? What would you like to be doing? What do you want your footprint to look like? Yeah. And where do you just want to take the organization?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So my goal is to have what I call the special forces of entrepreneurship and innovation. So in the 10-year time frame, we're looking to be a highly streamlined, highly effective group of no degrees to way too many degrees that are extremely focused on developing and deploying solutions to the biggest problems that the world is facing. We're focused on some really cool advanced manufacturing challenges today, and that's always going to be our bread and butter. But the kinds of things that we want to be taking on, decarbonization. We're looking at the cement industry and seeing what we can do there. Space manufacturing, asteroid mining. We want to be looking at water control, water quality and water security across the globe, food security across the globe, agricultural innovation. Those are the types of areas that we see ourselves deploying into over the next 10 years and really making a tangible contribution to the well-being of the entire world. That's really our goal in the 10-year time frame, is to be playing on a global stage with that special forces of entrepreneurship and innovation right here in Massachusetts.
I for one hope your worldwide headquarters is right here in North Central.
Likewise.
And I've got a list of people who I would like to volunteer for asteroid mining too.
Okay.
If you could send them to outer space, that would make. I've got about 30, but I add to the list every day.
I'm surprised your list is that short.
Yeah, no, it's been 30 just this month. But Dr. Aaron Birt, Solvus Global, so excited to just watch and appreciate everything you're doing for the region, and can't wait to see what the future holds.
Thank you so much for your support.
That's our show, everyone. everybody, and we'll see you next month.